Make real change. Make change real. The process is beautiful. Empower your mentality to make real change in the world. This is Coach King. I'm I'm talking about the characteristics of an innovator, of innovation itself. What are the characteristics of innovation? But if you want to become an innovator, um, you have to have, or have to become, or have to learn, or have to develop specific characteristics about yourself. But these characteristics are already in you. You just have to know who you are, and in knowing who you are, you discover these characteristics of yourself, of what you're made of. And I believe that risk taking, it's in us, it's innate, but we have to plan our risks. Some risks you jump, some risk you have to take small steps in order to make the big jump. But it's all calculated by the vision, and it's predicated on what the vision is, what the big idea is in your life, what it is that God has for you ultimately, and what He has promised you, and all of the above. Okay, so starts with knowing yourself, obviously. However, these characteristics are these traits that God created you to have, right? Everybody has these things. You just have to unlock them. People have to begin to tap into these values that they have. And once you tap into this value, you tap into these things about yourself, you discover what characteristics you're made of. I'm just here to coach this idea. And right now we're in this, I'm in the idea of the I in the idea, which is innovation. But you ask yourself this question: can I create? And can you create? And in creating, you realize that you have this innate ability to step into these places of uncertainty, and these places where you don't have anything, you just don't know. But because we have a characteristics of creativity, of creation, we are able to take and make things and create things and be innovative, right? We're innovators. We're able to look into changes and innovate new ideas and new ways of doing things and new ways of thinking and be revolutionary. Okay. So today I'm going to talk about this next characteristic. We talked about risk taking. Now we're going to talk about exploration. Don't be afraid to explore uncharted territory. Don't be afraid to explore the uncharted territories of life, the journeys, the places that you need to go. Because exploration is the action of traveling through an unfamiliar area in order to learn more. So part of your exploration is for you to learn something. You have to go to an unfamiliar place to learn something about it. Okay. The best story is in Genesis chapter 12, 1 through 3. But we're going to look at Genesis chapter 12 and we're going to go. It's going to be Genesis 12, chapter 12 through, I think 15 or 14. Where I'm just going to read these scriptures to you so you can see this journey of exploration through the life of Abram. Okay. So Genesis 12, 1 through 3, it says, the Lord had said to Abram, he's not Abraham yet. Leave your native country, your relatives, and your father's family, and go to the land that I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you and make you famous. And you will be a blessing to others. I will bless those who bless you and curse those who treat you with contempt. All the families on earth will be blessed through you. So exploring uncharted territory can be exciting, right? Think about going on a trip that you've always, like your first trip to Disney World. You're like, oh my gosh, we were kids. Let's go. I've never been to Disney World. But when I think about the places that I always wanted to go, it makes me excited. I get so excited. I say, oh my gosh, I am ready to go, right? But then in the back of your mind, I got to get on this plane. Wait a minute, the plane could go up in smoke, it could run off the runway, it could fail, right? So it's also exciting, but yet potentially dangerous at the same time, because you're leaving your home. You're leaving a place where you're comfortable. You're leaving this place of comfortability in order to go into this unknown area you've never been to before. Now, it's different if you've traveled there, but since you're going into a place of change where you have not been, it's potentially challenging as well. And it's also dangerous. So you have this fear aspect, but not only fear, it's just like, what am I doing? Right? Well, like what I don't know what to expect. I don't have anything. So let's look more into this story of Abram and his family's journey to highlight the characteristics of exploration. Okay. This is this one characteristic, and I'm just going to blow it up. Okay. So Genesis 12:4-9, it says, so Abram departed as the Lord had instructed, and Lot went with him. Abram was 75 years old when he left Haran. He took his wife, Sarai, his nephew Lot, and all his wealth, his livestock, and the people he had taken into his household at Haran, and headed for the land of Canaan. When they arrived in Canaan, Abram traveled through the land as far as Shechem. There he set up camp beside the oak of Moreh. At that time, the area was inhabited by Canaanites. Then the Lord appeared to Abram and said, I will give this land to your descendants. And Abram built an altar there and dedicated it to the Lord, who had appeared to him. After that, Abram traveled south and set up camp in the hill country, with Bethel to the west and Ai to the east. There he built another altar and dedicated it to the Lord, and he worshiped the Lord. Then Abram continued traveling south by stages towards Negev. So that's the big picture of Abraham and his exploration. But let's take a little deeper dive into what these principles are saying based off of what we just read. So let's look at it. So based on this story, there are a few tips about exploration and exploring this uncharted territory. But before we start on this journey, let's do some research. Unlike Abraham, today we have created technology, right? The technology of today helps us research, map out, and plan our journeys, right? So we can go to Google Maps and we could say, all right, we could type out the address. It'll give us the directions. It'll give us everything we need to know, right? We can plan these trips so we can have an idea of what to expect before we even start, right? We can make a plan today. We can do research today. We can set all this thing up, okay? And it helps us map out this plan, but it helps us kind of ease the fear of the unknown, right? This fear of the unknown complex, I call it. But however, in Abraham's case, his navigation system was the Lord's instructions. Lord just said, go to a place where I will show you. That's faith. Okay. Today, when you think of a physical journey, we can type, right? Today, we have the ability to read instructions. In a sense, technology has made instructions more complex because it gives us the capability to explore the terrain, weather conditions, and any hazards that we may run into. If you've ever put something in your GPS, it'll tell you, hey, these are toll roads. You can avoid tolls. I want to be cheap. It's going to extend my trip, but man, I ain't going to pay $200. Okay. You can ignore any potential hazards. It'll tell you where the speed traps are. Like, cop was just here, pulled 7 people over. Slow down, right? We have all of these smart systems, right, in place that help us with the potential dangers. Our whole life and technology is built to reduce this anxiety of exploration that we face, right? Man has done a great job with technology to do that, right? To give us to plan. They made millions off of that. Okay. However, Today, technology allows us the option to develop a detailed plan. So now we can plan detailedly, right? Because I can type in, okay, like, I want to go to Mali or Maui, Hawaii. Okay, research. What's the best place to go? Man, I can make all these plans. Abraham was just given direction to go. Where did he get? All he had was instructions, right? Just keep that in mind. So we now get the routes, we get the backup plans, and we get the emergency procedures. We can Google it, right? However, Abraham, again, was not given this option to Google. He didn't get any of that. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions. I'm not going to answer them. I want you to. Okay. Do you think technology adds value to our innovative characteristic of exploration? Do you think that technology adds value? Okay. And if it does, how so? Do you think technology helps us execute the instructions we hear from God? Can technology today help us execute our instructions from God that we hear from God? And just think about our life. Don't think about a journey. Don't think about a trip, but just like, what has God told you? And does technology help you execute it? And if so, how so? Because some people will say yes, but some people will say, oh, well, it's hindering. Think about it. Whatever side of the fence you sit on. And think about this. Does the Lord use the technology that we've created? Or how does God? Or does God? That's the first step back. Does God use technology today? Right? And if so, in what ways does the Lord use technology to help us? Right? Think about it. Does he work through the technology? Does he work through the hands that are using the technology? Think about that when you answer that question. I'm not going to answer it. I just want you to think. Okay? So one thing you have to keep in mind when exploring, right, is that you have to have the adequate supplies and equipment for your journey. The most important principle of taking a trip is having the adequate supplies. Like, if you're going to Mexico, make sure you have the things you're going to need in Mexico, right? If they tell you don't do this, X, Y, and Z, travel here to go there, you got to make sure you have what you need when you get there, so you don't have to go into those dangerous potential areas, right? Areas where they tell you not to be, right? So you can be obedient to what's keeping you safe in that moment, right? Unless you're extra adventurous and you live on the wild side, for those people who do, right? Because some people that love going there to jump off the cliffs and go skydiving and parasailing and all these things through the ocean. If you're one of those people, God bless you. However, there are things that you need, right? And the equipment and the supplies. Like, you don't want to go without your lotion. You don't want to go without your shampoo. You need your toothbrush, right? You don't want to have funky breath on the whole trip, right? Bring some mints, that type of stuff. Money, you're going to need cash. But if you're going out of the country, you're going to need their currency. So you have to make sure you have the adequate supplies for your journey. Abram had the adequate supplies for his journey. So what did he take? Abraham took his wife, Sarah, his nephew, Lot, and all his wealth, his livestock, and the people he had taken into his house at Haran, and headed for the land of Canaan. Okay? Think about it. So this is Genesis 12:5. So the adequate supplies and the equipment for your journey is determined by your purpose. So remember, the purpose of Abraham, his exploration was to be made into a great nation. It was also to be famous and a blessing to others. So because God told him those things is what he was purposed to do, his promises was to do this. So when God told him leave his father's house, Abraham prepared what he would need in order to do those 3 things: to be made into a great nation, famous, and a blessing to others, right? So Abraham brought his family with him and his wealth to fulfill what he was to become. And it says in Genesis chapter 2, 12 and 2, it says, I will make you a great nation. I will bless you. I will make you famous, and you will be a blessing to others. So think about those three things. Abram was prepared. So prepare for your journey on explorations, right? When you are exploring, you have to prepare. It goes back to planning, okay? What adequate supplies and equipment will you need for your journey? Always prioritize safety when exploring uncharted territory. Avoid taking the unnecessary risk. Unnecessary risk is like not preparing for things and just jumping into it with haste, moving just because you have an impulse, right? And be prepared for the emergency. Like, how can you prepare for a broken ankle? How do you prepare for, what's your plan, in case that happens? Because you are assuming some risk when you do go out and you travel, or you do go into these uncharted areas, right? Prepare for these emergencies, right? Carry the appropriate safety gear, such as first aid kits. Make sure you have a good communication device. Make sure you know where the emergency shelter is. Out here in Omaha, we have to have tornado shelters, right? So if you come out here, be prepared to see some bricks somewhere, cinder block somewhere blocking houses with these tornado signs on it. That means get your behind in there when you hear the sirens, okay? Be as safe as possible. So all of those things that I just named have purpose. Right? So when exploring uncharted territory, you may encounter unexpected challenges and opportunities. Keep an open mind and be flexible in your plan. Respect the environment you are exploring and follow leave no trace principles. Okay. So let's look at Genesis 12, 10 through 20. At that time, a severe famine struck the land of Canaan, forcing Abram to go down to Egypt. So a huge famine hit him, right? Where he lived as a foreigner. As he was approaching the border of Egypt, Abram said to his wife, Sarai, look, you're a very beautiful woman. When the Egyptians see you, they will say, this is his wife? Let's kill him. Then we can have her. So please tell them you are my sister. Then they will spare my life and treat me well because of their interest in you. And sure enough, when Abram arrived in Egypt, everyone noticed Sarai's beauty. When the palace officials saw her, they sang her praises to Pharaoh, their king. And Sarai was taken into his palace. Then Pharaoh gave Abram many gifts because of her: sheep, goats, male, female donkeys, male and female servants, and camels. But the Lord sent terrible plagues upon Pharaoh and his household because of Sarai, Abram's wife. So Pharaoh summoned Abram and accused him sharply. What have you done to me? He demanded. Why didn't you tell me she was your wife? Why did you say she is my sister and allow me to take her as my wife? Now then, here is your wife. Take her. Get her out of here, Pharaoh ordered. Some of his men, he asked and he ordered them. And he sent Abram out of the country, along with his wife and all of his possessions. So I put that in here because there's a couple things. There is a aspect of when God promises you something. when God says he's going to do something. But I believe whoever is holding you in contempt with where you're going, and this is getting a little deep. So the word contempt, I will bless those who bless you and curse those who treat you with contempt. Now, when you look up the word contempt, that means disrespect. Abraham went into a land where they disrespected him. Abram went into an uncharted territory where he was being disrespected. So, no matter, we like to say Abraham or Abram lied, right? But I believe that he had his innate ability because he had a relationship with God. Obviously, if the Lord's speaking to him, Abram had a relationship. And because of his relationship, the Bible says that he realized that they were going to want to kill him because of the beauty that his wife had. And wanting to kill somebody is holding him in contempt. So I believe that in order to save what his purpose was because God promised him this. And Abram had to use his resources because he was created to explore. And knowing that there's going to be challenges along the way. This was one of those challenges that he was prepared for. This was Abram's internal GPS system that told him danger, 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 right? There's a speed trap. That is the example of the speed trap. Think about your life. Think about something that you're maybe going through right now. And you are in a place of uncharted territory. You're the first to graduate. You're the first to get your doctorate. You're the first to become something, right? You don't have any role models. You don't have a father figure in your life, and you're trying to be a father. You're a new dad. You have nobody. You don't have that readily available example. So you're out here, and you feel like you're in isolation. You feel like you're by yourself. You feel like you're exploring is what it should feel like. But just know you're prepared. Think about it. If Abram would have never brought his wife, do you think they would even bless him with the riches and the wealth that he had? The answer is no. Because Abram prepared for his journey and he brought the things that God needed in order for him and his promise to be fulfilled, Abraham was wise enough to bring what was needed for his purpose. So in order to be this innovator, this characteristic of exploration and being able to prepare for the journey is what you need. So great innovators are explorers. And a characteristic of exploration is preparation. So make sure you prepare for where you're going. Prepare and bring the right materials. Don't bring a knife to a gunfight. It makes no sense. And if you're on a cruise liner, make sure you have some safety boats. Think about everything that could happen and plan for it. I'm going to have to do a part 2 because I want to stop right there. I think this is a good time. Okay. So make sure that you plan, because when you're purposed and you heard that this is the place that you're supposed to be from God, and God plants you in a place, but it's uncharted. He tells you to go. Just remember, he's going to bless those who bless you, curse those who curse you, and also those who hold you in contempt or disrespect you. He's going to curse them. That was his promise to Abram. And I would love to say that that's a promise that he has for you too, especially when you're exploring. As a kingdom citizen, as a child of the Most High, you are entitled to the same blessing, the blessing of Abram, the promises of Abram, right? I know it may be too deep for some, but remember, why do you think you don't tolerate when people disrespect you? That's why. But understand that you may be going into uncharted territory where you're not wanted, but the things that you have is what they're after. So what you're bringing to them, you're blessing them. So Abram was still fulfilling his promise by going to Egypt, saying that, okay, well, you can have everything. He actually blessed Pharaoh with his wife's beauty, when you think about it. Having his wife, as beautiful as she was, blessed the area, right? Her essence blessed Egypt, and blessed Egypt so much that the Pharaoh was blessed by her beauty, right? That's like a Bobby Valentino song. Bless me with your beauty, cutie. So Pharaoh's like, slow down. I just want to get to know you. You know what I'm saying? So she blessed them with her beauty, right? Abraham blessed them with what he had. In the intern, Pharaoh blessed Abraham. So you watch the promise of God manifest in Abram's life just out of that story. All in that one story. So anyway, think about that. Anyway, you have to be an explorer if you want to innovate. You have to be willing to go into uncharted territory, right? Even when there's danger and potential hazards. Go. If you're on the job and there's a project and you're out here and the department's not good and you've been tasked with trying to make it more efficient, you have to get people more productive. You have to do that. Prepare your skills, your development. You have to develop as a leader, educate yourself, do whatever you can to prepare not only yourself, but the environment for you. You have to make that environment ready for you. Because the promise on your life is to bless it, is to become famous in it. Fame is not necessarily the world knows. Fame means that the people that are in the environment acknowledge you. They see you. I'm here, right? Fame does not necessarily mean the world knows, although Abraham was famous, but I'm trying to get it to your level, my level. Fame is just being acknowledged by the people when they see you. When they see you, they see a nation. When they see you, they see God. And they see the promise of God on your life when they see you. So, make real change. Make change real. The process is beautiful. Empower your mentality to make real change in the world. This is Coach King. Peace out.